Hi everyone, this is my final project, the interactive lights, a human trigger lightscape of Iowa State University. The reason why I came up this project is that the landscape around me seems a little unsatisfying because they are controlled by a determinate force displaying no change. And I began to think that we humans, as the main user of the urban landscape, we should have a say in the landscape around us and we should have a dynamic interaction with it. So what if humans can trigger and interact with the landscape around us? In my project, I choose the lights of the Iowa State University as a testimony to the interactive landscape with humans. So let's see how it works and what benefits they can bring to us. There are 4 steps in my project: substance, interaction, simulation, analysis. Step 1. Substance. Building physical lights in ISU. I made this mainly by offsetting the points along the curve in the opposite directions. As you can see, firstly I imported the street maps of ISU, and then by dividing the street lines at a certain space, I can get a series of points along the curves and the vectors tangent to it as the points. By offsetting the points at half of the street width in the opposite direction perpendicular to the tangent vectors, the lamp's positions are got. And by adding a radius to it, here are the flexible lamps. It can be adjusted according to the street width, lamp space, lamp's height, and the radius of the bomb's aperture. Then the step 2. Interaction. Establishing the interaction between footprints and the light density. Before establishing the interaction, I generated multiple footprints on streets, matched the corresponding street lines with the footprints, and restricted areas to be lit up within a certain radius. The interaction has 2 parts. The first is that the luminance of the light can be adjusted according to the distance between the lamps and the footprints. I made this by connecting the lines between footprints and the physical lamps, calculating the distance and convert the distance to a domain between 0 and 1 to decide the luminance. And when there are 1 more footprints near the lamps, the luminance of the lamp will be decided by the closest footprint to the lamp. The second one is that the radius of the bomb's aperture can be adjusted according to the number of people around it. I got this by using the listness component to get the list of the number of lines connected to each lamp, and let the number decide the radius of each lamp. Step 3. Simulation. Generating interactive graphics of Lightscape. The simulation has 3 parts. People move randomly on streets, people gather at the city center and then distribute, and the real-time footprint movement feedback. Each of them has their own pragmatic significance. Let's see. Simulation 1. People move randomly on streets. With this simulation, I want to show a chiral state of the pedestrians. I made this by firstly generating random departure and destination points and establishing the direct paths between them. Then I convert these direct paths to the real paths along the streets. And finally, with the use of the evaluate length component, I can make the footprints move along the curve at a certain distance or certain portion of the path, 1 move at a time. And by combining the series of frames recording each move, I got this simulation. And simulation 2, people gather at the school centers and then distribute. While centers usually draw people to come, and people usually distribute after the events end. So I made this simulation. I made this in a way similar to simulation 1. And firstly, I create the path between each footprint and the ISU centers. In this case, I choose the design building, Park Library, Frederickson Court, the Companion, and the Memorial Union as the ISU centers. And then I built a direct path between the centers, convert the direct path to real paths along the street lines, and then I move the footprints at a certain distance or certain portion of the path 1 move at a time. And the video is made by recording the frames. And plus to that, I got the light plus connecting the centers be illuminated when the number of footprints around centers reach a certain number. The reason I want to do this is because if we expand the center meaning to a broader context, I'm thinking that the centers can be both the centers of activities and the shelters for emergency. So it's of significance to show the major paths between, as it can be important corridors for celebration or escape at special occasions. And I made this by firstly calculating the number of footprints in a radius of the center. And when the number is larger than a set number, a connecting path will be generated. Simulation 3, a real-time footprint movement feedback. Actually, I'm trying to use two ultrasonic sensors to get the real-time position of the footprint and generate interactive light with it, but it's still on the way. Aesthetically, I think the interactive lightscape has displayed a quite different thing from the normal lights, and with this, the motion of the world can be recorded. That's the reason why I want to do this. And another benefit of the interactive lights is in the aspect of economy. The last step, analysis, calculating economical benefits of the interactive lights. Before the calculation, let's suppose the power of each light. I set the power of each normal light at 80 watts. In Grasshopper, it can be calculated by multiplying power with the number of the generated lights. It's 1,443.36 kilowatts. And for the power of each interactive light, I set the formula as this. P equals 80 multiplied K plus 2 multiplied N. The unit is watts. K here means the luminance of the light. The domain is between the 0 and 1, which is decided by the distance between the people and the light. And the N is the number of the number around the light. The power would increase 2 watts when one more footprint is implemented. Then when the power exceeds 100 watts, the power will stay at 100. I got this process in Grasshopper with 300 footprints, and the outcome is 196.13 kilowatts. It's a pity that the number of the footprint is a little bit more. For when I got more footprints for calculation trial, the Grasshopper would just crash. But the interactive lights are definitely more economical in most cases. So that's it, the interactive lightscape I built for Iowa State University. Hey, thank you so much for watching.